Welcome to the Commander's Journey, a journey for new Commander players ready to uncover their hidden magic potential.
Welcome back. I'm Joel.
And I'm Alex.
And today we have Commander 2021 Top 10 for you. C21 as some people call it. The 5 new sets from Strixhaven. This is what we usually get every year. We've been so used to getting so many Commander sets, though, lately, Alex. So
yeah,
it doesn't feel like it's a treat, but it feels like it's some awesome Commander decks.
I'm happy with a lot of the cards I printed. There are a lot of steps in the right direction and some great reprints, too. So very excited.
There we go. So, yeah, let's just get right into it. We've got so many cards to go over. And we're going to start with just our top reprints, what we think are the best, our favorite reprints of the set. And then we're going to get into our top 10. We each pick top 5, and we put them together. And it becomes a top 10 or an individual top 5. That'll always be the case until we change that.
Exactly.
So there we go. So I will start this one, since you started the last one, with my favorite top reprint. And that card is Alhammarret's Archive. For 5 mana, it's a legendary artifact that if you would gain life, you gain twice that much life instead. And if you would draw a card, except the first one you draw on each of your draw steps, draw 2 cards instead. So this card's been around. It's freaking awesome. It works perfect in the life gain strategies that you want to do here. But also that second ability to be able to draw 2 cards instead of 1. It's always awesome. You get that on your upkeep. You get that if you have like Heuristic Study. Now you're double drawing. I mean, who doesn't want to draw more cards? And this card went up, what was it, like $20-$30 or something like that?
I think it was like 15, but it was creeping its way up. I think it had to reprint in the mystery boosters, otherwise it'd be real bad.
That's right, yeah. And so yeah, great reprint. Great card to put in a lot of your decks, especially life gain or card draw decks. Any deck really, it's a great card. So that is my favorite reprint. How about you, Alex?
Awesome. So my top reprint is another much needed reprint. It's not probably the most needed reprint in the set gave us, but it's the one I'm the most excited for, and that is Azure's Predation. 5 green for a sorcery. It says for each creature your opponents control, create a 4/4 green beast creature token. Each of those beasts fights a different one of those creatures. It's the most efficient green board wipe I can think of off the top of my head. It's just a very good job of just making a bunch of things, and they just happen to fight things. So it destroys everything 4 or less toughness, which is most things, and then you get a bunch of tokens afterwards. So I rather like this one.
Yeah, and I can't tell you how many times, even like online, I've seen people be like, "Hey, in a mono green deck, what's a board wipe?" And it's like, this is one of the very few things you can do. Might be the only, huh?
It's the only real creature board wipe like all the other colors. There's some other funky stuff you do with green sometimes to kind of build your own board wipes kind of thing. Mm-hmm. But this is probably the closest thing to an actual board wipe green has.
There you go. So that's good. A lot of good reprints in this set. Little ones. I think all those like $2, $3, $4, $5 reprints, like a bunch of them, like that really helps because those are just staples that you want to keep. And yeah, great. Let's get into it. Our top
number 5.
My number 5. My number 5 or the top or number 10. We'll see. It is Reinterpret. For 2 blue and a red. It's an instant. It says counter target spell. And you may cast a spell with an equal or lesser mana value from your hand without paying its mana cost. So this card is just, I really like it. I mean, I don't play a lot of Spellslinger decks, but I think if you're playing a Spellslinger deck, this is a great card to add into it because you're always going to have mana up to counter a spell, but now you also get a free play. And think about it, if it's an enchantment, I believe it works like this. If it's an enchantment or a creature, you get to play that spell whenever you counter, so that's probably on their turn, right? So that might work like at flash speed. So it's kind of cheating something out, at a time people aren't expecting it. So it's really awesome to not just be able to counter, because there's counter spells what cost 2 mana. And then there's less good counter spells for 3 mana. So this is only 4 mana. And then at that level, you're also getting a thing. So if you counter a creature, it's like a 7 mana creature, and you have something in your hand that's 7 or less, you just get to play it. So I really like this card. I think it's a really, really good card. So that's my number 5.
Yeah, I think this is a great card, and I want to say too. I mean, I think this is a payoff for playing blue red from this point onwards.
Hmm.
Reinterpret if you want to counterspell in the deck. Well, you can get, it's not Mana Drain, but it is something you're getting there again, which is nice.
Yeah.
It's a step in the right direction, and as you just said, you'll get to play at flash speed. You'll get something out there, sneak something out, and that's just extra value.
Yep. There you go. And it just says a card, right? So you
It's
cast
any
a spell,
spell,
anything, any spell.
any non-land.
Yep. Love it. All right. How about you?
Awesome. So my number 5 is it's an existing, not cycle, but series of cards, and I always find that they're a little bit better than everyone seems, and I think this one's even better than the average one of that set. It's Guardian Augmenter, 2 and a green for a creature, troll, wizard. Has flash. Commander creatures you control get +2/+2, and commanders you control have hexproof. It's a 2/2. So I really like the fact it's a 2/2 body that can come out and protect your commander at flash speed. And all that extra text is fantastic, but really I know there's a surprising there's not too many creatures that give other creatures hexproof, especially at flash speed like this, which is what you need. I think there's like maybe one or two others. I think we got Slippery Bog Bonder last year. But it's very few and far between, and there's a cycle of cards that give your commanders a boost and a one, but hexproof is one of the best ones. This is flash, so you can use this as a response to something.
Yeah, that makes it really strong. I really agree, especially with that flash and just bring people aren't expecting it. It's like, you're going to target? What? No, you're not going to target. There
Exactly.
you go.
Check that commander.
And the +2/+2 is just like, and here's a little bit of gravy. All right, my number 4 is Vayne Coven. This is 2 and a black for a creature vampire warlock with menace. It's a 3/3. And whenever you gain life, you may pay 1 black, and if you do, return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. Now, my number 5 and number 4 here, I think they have to fit in certain decks. But in those decks, I think they could be like really, really strong, really great cards for those decks. So any deck that you have in black that's a life gain deck, which a lot of your black decks are going to have life gain sub-themes at least. And if it's your main theme, this card goes in your deck. And to be able to just pay 1 black and return it from the graveyard to the hand is an incredible rate, I think. And getting for 3, a 3/3 menacing creature gets it out there. It's a vampire. It makes sense for certain decks. But just to pay 1 black, and then like heck, if you're in a crick deck, you just pay 2 life. There you go. And if you do, you return a creature card from the graveyard to your hand. So it's really great protection, especially people removing your stuff. And if they're not exiling it and goes in the graveyard, you're getting that stuff back. Doing some shenanigans. Heck, if you make a bunch, you use like a Phyrexian Altar or something, and you start making a bunch of mana, sacking things, bringing it back. I mean, you could do a bunch of stupid stuff with it. But I just like this card. I think it's really good. I really like the artwork there. It just feels like Halloween to me. Just it's Halloween at Strixhaven. So I think that like the witch or in the front, it looks like he's trying to wear a Spider-Man suit. But that's just me. There you go, Vayne Coven.
So I'll jump right into my number 4 off of that because it's also a little more of a deck-specific card, but I think it's really fabulous, and I think it'll see a little more play. And that's Wake the Past. It's 5 red and white for a sorcery. Turn all artifacts from your graveyard to the battlefield. They gain haste until end of turn. So this is a finisher in an artifact deck, plain and simple. Honestly, if you have enough, Mono Rocks, and you have a certain threshold to hit that, this still isn't bad. There's a lot of situations, any artifact deck that happens to have this colors, I would be playing this card in. And any deck that has a lot of artifacts, and maybe that's not the main theme, but you'll get a lot in there. Once you can consistently hit, I'd say about 6 artifacts with this card, it's worth playing.
Yeah, and even especially with artifact creatures going on too, because that giving them haste too is also is really awesome to bring everything back. And if they're artifact creatures, you can use them right away. So
to say you get the Blightsteel Colossus out of nowhere, and all of a sudden everyone just hates you. because you just paid 7 mana for a Blightsteel Colossus.
Yeah. There's some big artifact creatures for sure, man. We were talking about another one, Worm Coil Engine or something like
Yes,
that
well,
going
that would be
on.
another scary one to play. You got killed the Worm Coil Engines, you got the tokens, you're like, I'll bring that right back. Excuse me.
Yep, there you go. All right, I'm gonna get into my number 3. That is Archaeomancer's Map. For 2 and a white, it's an artifact. When Archaeomancer's Map enters the battlefield, you search your library for up to 2 basic plains cards. You reveal them, put them into your hand, then shuffle. And then whenever a land enters the battlefield under an opponent's control, whenever a land, if that player controls more lands than you, you may put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield. Now, this is, I think, as close as we are going to get to a Cultivator Kodama's Reach effect in white. It's 3 mana, it's an artifact, and you go and search out 2 lands and put them in your hand. Yeah, I understand that with Kodama's Reach, you get to put one on the battlefield tapped and you put the other into your hand. But I'm sorry, once you get both of them in your hand, you're in, and especially if you're in white, mono white, or even Orzhov or Boros, the next player or the player is somebody else is playing green. Somebody else has more lands than you. Before it gets back to you, I guarantee you that other land's coming back. One of those lands is going onto the battlefield that you just drew, if not 2. And I mean, and if you have other land tax type effects in your white deck, which you probably will, if you have land tax or other cards that do that, and you go fetch plains. There's a bunch of those cards. You're going to be able to put this down. You're going to be able to keep up. I think this is a great card for any mono white, any Boros, even Orzhov, or just decks that really want a little bit more ramp with white. And I just think it's really good, especially you can go fetch a bunch of plains and basic plains. That is, you can't just grab a plains, but it's strong. I really like this card.
And I can get behind this. I definitely think it's the closest we're going to get as of right now to big good white ramp. Is it still leave a little bit to be desired? Yeah, it's kind of a bummer. You have to have the cards in your hand already to do the effect. But as you pointed out, with land tax, this thing is nasty, and with land tax, this is as good a ramp spell as you can freaking get. This you'll just go off with land tax. So it's one of those things that I definitely think this is one of, if not the most powerful white ramp axis that we have right now. Is it as good as some of the other colors? Still, we're not quite there yet, but this might be what we'll see as white ramp in the future, and it will get the job done.
Yeah, there's that other 4 mana one that came out in a previous set. What's
Keeper of the Accord?
Keeper of the Accord, which I really, really love too, and I think it's really great. It's also kind of a keep up with type effect. You get a land, you got to go search out a land, or you get a thing. But I think it makes a big difference the fact that that's at 4 mana and this is at 3.
And I think Keeper of the Accord is a good push point. I think it's slightly better. Yeah.
Actually, I think it might be a slightly better card, but I think this might be a slightly better ramp card because it's at 3, and I think most of the time you want to ramp at 2 and 3, right? So I feel like at that beginning of the game, ramp effect in white for 3. I don't feel like we have a lot of choices, and I think this one's a really good one.
I'm going to throw this out here too about this card because I want to say that I want to keep on adding stuff onto it. With land tax, this is really scary. The saddest part, in my opinion, is the fact because white's card draw isn't where it needs to be. It's harder to refill those lands. If white gets its card draw to where it needs to be, this is going to be absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
But because where this is most appealing is mono white, and the fact you don't draw the same way, it's going to be harder to refill your lands. We're going to see missed triggers on that. This will get better with time, I think, too.
Yeah, probably. And I think they're supposed to be helping white in card draw, so maybe that will also really buff this up. My only downside about the card is I hate the artwork, but I mean that's just personal preference. I just don't get it. There you go. All right. So what are you on? Number 3?
Yeah, I know, right? I talked so much about your number 3, I didn't even get a chance to get to mine. I apologize.
Let's do it.
My number 3 is Sly Instigator for 3 in a blue creature human wizard. For blue and tap it until your next turn. Target creature and opponent controls can't be blocked, and you goad it. It's a 2/4. So goad is a horrendously powerful ability, and I know you found this out too, Joel. The more we play with goad, the more powerful it gets.
I love my Marisi deck. I love being able to play Goad as a thing. I think a lot of people write it off and like, oh, Goad, why do I want to do that? I think if you have enough Goad things going on, if you're in a meta where people play a lot of, I understand some people don't play a lot of creatures. They play just a lot of spells, big, huge combos. But if you got people who in your play group that create a decent board state, they put decent creatures out. Everybody consistently has 3 to 5 good things out, and you have several goad effects in a deck. It can get really punishing and annoying for other people, and can help you really control.
What's nice about Sly Instigator is it forces the politics. Not only have we not really seen Go too often in blue, it forces that. So you will make your opponent's card unblockable, and then you'll make it so they can't target you with it, right? They can't attack you. So you have potentially some really big thing, going to have to aim at one of your opponents. They're not happy because they don't have a blocker now. They're going to have to punch them. They're going to take a lot of damage with our opponents because they can't block it, right?
Yep.
It's one of those things that, it's going to lead to big swings.
Yeah, especially when somebody puts something big and nasty out. Like, that's what you want to do. And this is repeatable. So if somebody starts doing this, right, it's going to be a target. It's like, do you really want to use a removal spell to get rid of my Sly Instigator when I got all these other things here? It's like, okay. I like
exactly. And you can hold off on it, too, until they're, about to hit their combat step, or they just hit their combat step, before they launch attacks. You can goad something. That way you can see what they're kind of going to do in response. You can play it a little safe. You just can't do it after they decide to attack you. But other than that, I mean, this is a really fantastic card.
Yeah, I can get behind it for sure. I think goad is an underappreciated mechanic that can really, really create a lot of fun in games, at least for the person who's doing the goading. Not the person being goaded. All right. And for my number 2,
let's hear it, Joel.
Cunning Rhetoric, 2 and a black. This is definitely my card. As soon as I saw this card, I'm like, I want 10 of these. It's an enchantment. Whenever an opponent attacks you and or one or more planeswalkers you control, you exile the top card of that player's library. And then you may play that card for as long as it remains exiled. And you may spend mana Zo or mana of any color to cast it. I love this because, I don't like stacks effects where it's just like, hey, you can't play the game. I don't like that. But I do like the idea of, oh, hey, you have to pay one more, do this, you have to add this. If you want to fight or you want to do this or you want to do that. This is a really fun way. It's like, okay, you want to attack me? That's fine. You attack me. I want to get something off the top of your deck. You better hope it's not anything good. And it can be any card. And as long as it remains exiled, so you can be, you can have multiple of these. You could just, oh, you attack me, Alex, I'm taking the thing off the top, put it face down. Hey, Robert, you're going to attack me, I'm going to take that. It's like you can collect these bad boys. Even if this enchantment gets removed, it doesn't get rid of the exile cards. You can still play them later in the game. You're just getting cards up from people, just taking them and being able to cast them. It makes your hand bigger. For 3 mana, black enchantment, love it. Love this card.
I can definitely get on board. It's one of those ones. I really like the fact that it'll stick around after the enchantment goes away. That's that does matter, and it's one of those things that's just part of the game now.
Yeah, it's not like the red, like the robber who thief grabs it and it's like you got to play it this turn and play it next turn. Or if this gets removed, you got to give those exiled cards back. It just says you may play that card for as long as it remains exiled.
Can't argue with the simplicity.
Love it.
So on to my number 2. My number 2 is Cursed Mirror, 2 and a red for an artifact. You can add a red with it, so it's a mono rock. And it also says, as Cursed Mirror enters the battlefield, you may have it become a copy of any creature on the battlefield until end turn, except it has haste.
That's nasty.
I really like the idea of something that is an artifact for things that care about that, and there's a lot of them, especially in red, that care about that. He comes in and becomes the biggest creature in play just to get a big swing in or do something stupid. You can tap it, get its ability off, whatever have you, and then after that you have a mono rock for 3 mana. All of that's good. This would even be not great, but somewhat playable at 3 mana. Just tap out a red. The fact that it has this upside to it is just great.
Yeah, a 3 rock that adds the color you want.
Yeah.
But by the way, I can also become your commander and do something stupid just for one turn. Are
Exactly.
you playing Eldrazi and I'm playing my mono red deck, Alex? Here you go. I got a big Eldrazi for one turn, and then it turns right back into a mana rock. Shoot, man, I like this card. I really like it.
I am definitely going to put in a lot of my red decks in the future. If I want to rock, this is always going to be in contention.
Yeah, it seems like it wants to go, and yeah, so many red decks. It's just like, yep, play that. And the artwork on this one is way better. This is so cool.
Yes.
I'm just gonna strangle you through the mirror. Cursed Mirror, love it. Cursed Mirror, number 2. Okay, my number 1. I don't know if this will come as any surprise, but my number 1 is Monologue Tax for 2 and a white. It's an enchantment. Smothering Tithe. Oh wait, no, this is not Smothering Tithe, but it looks very similar. Whenever an opponent casts their second spell each turn, you create a treasure token. Very simple. You are playing Commander. If you're watching this channel, we talk about Commander. You're going to get a lot of treasure tokens. People don't... I mean, do you play Commander where people play one spell each turn?
Not too often.
No. Not even like on the second, third turn, people play multiple things. Like, yeah, people play multiple things. They're not going to stop playing multiple things. And I think the little tiny, like there's the downside that, yeah, Smothering Tithe is going to be like, it's a little more maybe consistent. But the consistency I like on Monologue Tax, it is, I think, 1 cheaper to get out, which is nice. It's 2 and a white instead of 3 and a white.
3 and white, yeah.
And it just says whenever they cast their second spell, like they don't have a choice to pay mana to not give you the treasure, right? Sometimes it's like with Rhystic Study or with Smothering Tithe, it's like pay the 2, pay the 1, pay it, just pay it. Don't give them a treasure. This, sorry, you want to play a second spell, you're gonna have to give me it. I get a treasure no matter what. It just happens. So I think that's that little bit of upside. I think it might not be as strong as Smothering Tithe. That's probably a tick below it, but run them both. I mean, get a hold of a few of these now before it goes to $20-$30 like the way Smothering Tithe has. Yeah, great.
I think you nailed it with the $20-$30. I 100% agree, Joel. Just a tick below, and in a situation where you want to Smothering Tithe, you almost always want a Monologue Tax as well. Yeah. I'm so with you on it. And I want to point this out too, which has a nice little upside other than Smothering Tithe. Smothering Tithe, the nice part about it is they had to pay 2, so it was a little harder to pay. But what's nice about Monologue Tax isn't so much is that it makes people not want to do 2 spells each turn, right? Like they'll go out of their way to avoid it. And yeah, it's a little more doable because they can do instants, they can do some things to get around it. But there will be times where they don't have a choice to just say, oh, well, you'll get the treasure token. This really either slows down the rate of play or you'll get treasure tokens, right? It's all upside.
Yeah, which is all good for you, especially what you want to be doing in white, right? You want to be, it's about keeping up and then taxing your opponent and making sure that they're not trying to run past you. You're the police, you're the tax police or whatever. So, anyway, Monologue Tax, get as many of them as you can. There's one, I mean, how are you going to do it? You can buy a bunch of this is in the black-white one, right?
No, it's in the white-red one.
It's the white-red one? Okay.
Yeah.
Buy a bunch of those. Oh, wait, they've already gone up in price.
I think on because Hellcat Tyrant's also in the deck.
Oh,
so
yeah.
That one, that's the one I have my eye on.
Yeah. There you go.
So my number 1
Drum roll.
is another good card. I don't know if it's quite Monologue Tax worthy, but it's definitely in that power level range. It's a Marshland Bloodcaster. It's 4 and a black for a creature, vampire, warlock. It has flying for 1 and a black and tap it. Rather than pay the mana cost of the next spell you cast this turn, you may pay life equal to that spell's mana value. It's a 3/5. So we were getting Crix vibes from this.
Yes.
This is kind of nice because unlike Crix where you have to die Phyrexian mana, not only can you only play for the back pips where you can pay all the mana costs with this, you only have to pay 1 per symbol versus 2 on Crix.
Yep.
This is a horrendously powerful card.
Yeah. Like you said, with Crick, you're paying 2 for every black pip. This, you're just paying 1 for every mana value. And it doesn't just have to be in black. You can put this in your black-white decks, your black-white-green decks. You can pay it for any color. Oh my God. Yeah, I love it. It's definitely, hey, Crick's great, right? So
yes. Let's dial it to 11. That's what they decided.
Heck,
They're like, we need more of this.
Exactly. If you just want another Crick, here's another Crick card. But yeah, I think like you said, man, it could be a little bit better because you pay 1 black, tap it, and now if you have a 3, I want to keep saying CMC, but I should say mana value. If you have a card, a mana value 3, you pay 3 life, right?
Yes.
And with Crick, you'd have to pay 6 life. So
Yeah, depending on the pip number, yeah, exactly. If it was black, 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 then that's what you'd do. But again, just like you said, you can pay for any color with this. You can pay for your white spells with it, your green spells. This is just way more flexible and better rated Crick. The downside is minimal. I believe you can in theory pay just 4 mana for Crick because it has 2 Phyrexian symbols on the mana cost. This costs 5.
yeah,
I don't remember. I should probably bring up Crick, but this has flying on it. And it's a 3/5, has a nice sized butt. So, with the exception, it's not, your commander, it has to be part of the 99. I mean, this is, a little step up in my opinion.
yeah, and you'd have to untap it. You can only do it once,
You have to do untap shenanigans too.
Yeah, you can untap shenanigans. But yeah, other than those tiny little drawbacks, which I think they put it in there on purpose because of that Crick-like effect. But
I see some infinites with this. I'm calling it now.
yeah, people will definitely. I mean, again, the artwork is beautiful on this. They nailed the artwork on this one too. But yeah, that's funny in this set. There's some cards I'm like, dude, the artwork is insanely awesome, and then there's a few things and I'm just like, holy cow, that looks terrible. That's just personal opinion, not important. So there you go, Marshland Bloodcaster. You want another Crick? You got it.
You got it.
You wanted another Smothering Tithe for my number 1?
Yeah.
You got it.
You got it.
I mean,
more of the same. Hey, you can't argue with the things that go well, right? Them doing it again.
Yep, exactly. All right, well, thank you guys for listening. That's our top 10 from C21. The new commander sets. Go get yourself 1 or 2 or 3, whichever one you like to play. Yeah, I don't know, man. I might build Belladros. I don't know. He's not one of the face commanders, but yeah, I might build him. How about you? You got anything you're thinking about?
I have a few things in the works. Oh, I think we'll end up seeing it next week or the week after for some deck text, Joel. I'll keep it secret.
All right, that'll be fun. All right, guys. Thanks again. Be sure to subscribe, give us a thumbs up, and comment below.
Yeah, and same thing is if you are thinking about buying any of these cards or want to get the decks, it would be appreciative if you could use our affiliate link. No pressure, but we're a tiny channel, and every little bit helps.
Awesome. Thanks, guys, and until next time.
See you.